Good. I'm glad this is your Facebook Live. All I have to do is participate.
There you go. There you go. All right, so we're live. So I'm here with Dr. Gina Paige of African Ancestry.com, and we're going to talk about my African ancestry roots. Now, tell us, what's the difference between African ancestry and other genetic testing sites?
There are a lot of differences.
Okay.
The first difference is that we're the pioneers. So we were first.
Really?
We started our company 15 years ago.
Okay.
And 15 years ago, there were only 2 other companies in the industry, and they weren't checking for black folks.
Ah.
So they were just telling black people that they were African, which is basically what's still happening today.
Right.
So our test looks at individual branches of the family tree. We look at one branch at a time. So
Okay.
in your case, we looked at your mother's line, going back 500 to 2,000 years.
Wow.
We're not looking at anybody else in the family, just that one branch.
Okay.
And we also, you did 2, so we also looked at your father's line,
Okay.
going back 500 to 2,000 years. Not telling us about any of those other branches in between, just those 2,
Okay.
right?
Oh boy.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense to me.
The other companies, they look at all of your branches of your family tree genetically
Yes.
combined together.
Okay.
And then they say you're some percentage this, some percentage that, some percentage the other.
And that's what I did, because I did the other companies, and they were telling me they were it was like 75% African,
Right.
but it did a little breakdown, and then 25% European, and then it kind of gave me general areas,
Right.
but not the specific. This is where the tribe.
Exactly.
So that's what we're going to.
And that's what we do. We get down to when it's African, because you're not 100% African. You already know that there's a 25% chance that we're going to find a European ancestor, not an African one.
That's correct.
So we get down to the present day country and the tribe or ethnic group. The other thing is with that test, that the other test you took, you don't know who in the family was African and who was European. You just know that out of everybody, 75% comes from Africa and 25%, but you don't know if it's your mother's line, your mother's father's line. You don't know the details. It's very general.
And this is what African Ancestry does. It gives me the details. I'm about to find out.
Very specifically. So when we tell you your maternal ancestry, those results are the same for everybody in your family who comes from your mother's mother.
Mother's mother. Got it. I got it.
Or everybody in the family who comes from
my
your father's father.
Father's father. So not my father's mother.
No.
So I won't know what's going on there. Okay, got it.
No. So you did 2 tests for those 2 lines of the tree.
Okay.
If you wanted to know about your father's mother and drill down there, then that's a different test. And we can't get that from your DNA. We need a different family member to take a test.
Like his.
Nope.
Oh.
So to get your father's mother, we need one of her direct descendants.
Okay.
So your father, his siblings, your auntie's cousin, child.
Okay.
So his other family members.
I got it.
Get engaged. But you'll be able to share the results you get with us with all these other people.
And everybody on Facebook Live too.
But it'll be the same. It won't be the same for them.
Right.
It'll be the same for your kids, your brothers and sisters, your mother, her brothers and sisters, their kids, your grandmother, her brothers and sisters, their kids, their kids, their kids.
No, I got it.
You can't share those other results you got with anybody except your brothers or sisters.
Right, because that's what we have in common.
Right.
All right.
So what you did was a novelty. And it doesn't necessarily inform how you view yourself as a black man or as an African person. I don't think. That's what we've been told.
Right.
Whereas if you find out you're from this people and this place,
then I can hone in a little bit more.
You're going to be able to explore the traditions and the practices. You can go back to that place.
And look and see what's going on. Wow.
Then there's one more difference I have to point out.
Okay.
So I don't know which other test you took, but they have anywhere from 621 to 1,400 samples for the continent of Africa. If you look at your fine print.
I did the 2 most popular ones.
Okay. Dang, he did 2 others before he came to us.
But here's the funny one. Let me
that?
tell you. So here's what happened. So we met each other in Atlanta at a conference. And so Dr. Paige came along and she said, well, let me tell you about African ancestry. So she handed me the flyer. You remember this?
Yeah.
And I was kind of, well, I've already done my test and everything. And she was like, no, it's about the African. I said, yeah, but it told me where. She said, so you don't want the flyer? I said, hold on. I said, hold on. No, give me the flyer.
You already know. Hey.
I was like, no, give me the flyer. And I immediately went and ordered the 2 kits. I was like, I want to make sure that I get both kits. And so I'm excited to find out what's going on.
So we have 33,000 samples from all over Africa.
Okay.
The other tests had, when you did it, one had 464 samples from all of Africa. The other one had 621 samples.
That's not a lot of samples.
At all. For the whole, so when they
for
told
the whole continent of Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
And they gave you regions. So what's in the region? Cameroon, Congo region. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Ivory Coast, Ghana region. It just means you're West African.
Yeah.
And you're smart. You already knew
I
you
was
were
gonna
West
say,
African.
somehow,
right.
How did we get here?
Right. So, I'm excited.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what.
And you didn't tell them that we're homies.
That's right. Georgetown David.
So when we met at the conference, he's like, where'd you go to high school? How about he went to the lower school of the school, I went to the high school.
Georgetown Day grasshoppers represent.
That's embarrassing.
I know, right? I know.
That's so embarrassing.
The grasshoppers, but that's the truth. And as we
is.
continue to talk, we were able to discover that, and that even confirmed for me even more I needed to do this African ancestry test.
So I wore this T-shirt in honor of you.
Oh, cool.
Representing DC.
DC, that's right, DC.
What's up?
I didn't say DMV, I said DC.
That's right, DC.
DC.
Okay, so when you walked in, you said, I think I have a feeling. I already know what you're going to say. I
want me to
forgot
tell
you
them?
took those other tests.
I did.
So what was your feeling? And because we did 2 lines. So what were you feeling?
Well, here's the funny part. They just updated their results.
Because they added
Something
some more
else.
samples.
So when they updated it, it's like it switched things around. So I have a feeling that I'm going to see some Cameroon, Congo, Nigeria, Ghana, Mali. That's what I have a strange feeling somewhere in there.
So how do I explain this? When you look at all of the family tree all combined, you can't get specific to a place.
Gotcha.
Which is why they gave you all those regions.
Just to give me.
But one branch comes from one place.
Got it.
One branch doesn't come from a whole bunch of different places.
Right.
So you're not going to see all. You got to pick one.
All right, I'm going to pick.
And you have 54,
I got 2 sides,
54 to pick from.
But I have 2 sides though. Okay, so on one side, I'm going to pick. I'm going to stick with that Cameroon area.
Okay.
Then on the other side, I'm going to go. Because I'm going to Ghana. Let's put Ghana in here.
You're just throwing stuff up off to see what hits.
I'm going to see, just throw it up there. Somewhere on that west coast of Africa, we're going to find the 2 tribes that the 2 branches came from.
Okay, so I'm going to do this reveal a little differently. We're going to start with your paternal ancestry.
Boy. Okay.
And I want you to read what it says.
Watch me be all the way off. It's going to say someplace like Zimbabwe. Watch this. What? Hold on.
Read it. They don't know what it says.
Wait a minute. Okay. African Ancestry hereby certifies that J. Cameron shares paternal genetic ancestry with people living in Spain and Portugal.
Right.
Y'all can't see. Wait a minute.
You already told me that 25% of your DNA is European.
Yeah.
Well, part of that comes from your father's father's line. There was a white man on your paternal line.
Yes,
and was. We found matching DNA among men that live in Spain and Portugal today.
So no tribe.
It's not African.
No, I see. That's what look. See, I'm all right.
That's
I'm
why
going Congo. I'm like, wait a minute. Spain and Portugal.
But you shouldn't be surprised.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because I know some of where my father's, I guess where everybody came from, but I know his mother's side, so this is the paternal.
This is his father's side. The Cameron male
got it.
was a white man.
Got you. Well, actually, his name was different than mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
that man.
Yes.
Your father's father's father. Somewhere along there was a white man.
That confirms it. Wow.
And it's consistent with what the other company told you.
It is.
They told you were 25% European, but they didn't tell you where to look for it in your family tree.
No.
They just said it's there. So we found some of it.
All right. So that's my Spanish ancestry talk. My Portuguese Spanish.
So we don't know what we're gonna find.
Right.
Because black people are mixed up.
No, but it's consistent. It is consistent. It's
consistent with history.
That's right.
And in fact, 35% of the black men that take that test come back European, not African.
I got you. I know that's African.
Yeah, if this wasn't African, I'd be like, I'm not available to do the Facebook Live today. No, sorry, we'll have to postpone.
Okay.
No, so that's that.
All right. We got.
But on your mother's side, 92% of the time, those results come back African.
Because of history.
Right.
And because of how things transpired.
Exactly. It was usually white men who were having brown babies.
Got it.
Not white women.
Having brown
babies. And so we found your maternal ancestry in Africa.
That's consistent.
On the west coast of Africa.
Okay.
In a very tiny country. That probably didn't show up in your other results because they didn't have samples from this country. Because remember, they only had 621 and 464 samples.
Really, a tiny country.
So they didn't have all of, you can't have all the countries in Africa if you only have that many. Wow. And this country, it's funny because you went to school in South Carolina, you told me.
I did.
That's for part of your
That's
education.
where my family, that's where my mother's side of the family's from.
Okay. And so enslaved Africans that worked the rice plantations in South Carolina were taken specifically from this country because they were rice farmers. And
in South Carolina, you eat rice every day. Rice is still today, 2018.
Yep.
All right.
So slavery was a business.
Yes.
And those rice planters got their labor specifically from your country.
Okay.
Because of their ability to farm rice.
Okay.
I thought another interesting fact for you was in this country, the people that you share ancestry with have a secret society.
Oh, really?
That brings boys up into manhood.
Okay.
So boys go through an initiation process where they learn ancient traditions, they learn drumming.
And they still do this now? Oh, wow.
They learn drumming, they learn the songs. They actually go into what's called the Poro bush.
Really?
To be segregated from the rest of the community while they learn.
So it's almost kind of like what the Jewish community does, like a bat mitzvah in a kind of, sort of.
Yeah, it's a rite of passage.
Rite of passage, got
Preparation.
it. Okay.
But it's a long process that you go through.
Sounds like we need to implement that just today anyway.
Okay.
That's a whole other conversation.
And so that's called the Poro Society, P-O-R-O.
Okay, Poro Society.
And then the last thing I can tell you is that the people from this country were on the Amistad. Do you remember that movie? I do. So they were about freedom and not being enslaved.
That sounds like about how I roll.
And so it is with great pleasure
that
I tell you that you and your kids and you have brothers and sisters?
I do.
Your brothers and sisters, your mom.
But you know what? This is on my mother's side, right? No, I'm my mother's only one.
Oh, okay.
On my father's side, see, I can go say, hey, look, y'all. This is the way it is. So,
they might not be happy.
They're like, wait a minute. Okay.
So does your mother have brothers and sisters?
She had one sister who recently passed away, but she has children.
So this is the same for them.
Share. All right.
Those cousins.
All right, Kai and Shalay.
Kai and Shalay, you're
right.
watching. You all share maternal ancestry with the Temne people living in Sierra Leone today.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
I would have never known Sierra Leone. Okay.
That rhymes.
Yeah. So now I'm going to have to go to Sierra Leone and, okay. Wow. I would have thought, I'm all wrong then. Even I'm all over the place.
Yep.
Look at this.
See, Sierra Leone's not in those other databases.
No. Look,
so,
see, I don't know if you all can see that. I don't know what's going on. Is that still on? Can you see? Is it still? Yeah. It's still on? Okay.
So that's where Sierra Leone is
this.
on the map.
So you can see where on the map. Sierra Leone. I'm going to Ghana, but I'm going to have to get to Sierra Leone next. Wow.
And it's a great place. There, you have a lot of people, a lot of notables that we've traced to Sierra Leone. People like Isaiah Washington.
Okay.
Dr. Dorothy Height, Dr. Maya Angelou.
Okay.
Coretta Scott King.
Okay, and I had the pleasure of meeting her several years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So Sierra Leone is one of the countries that we find the most often.
Really, because of I guess that's where folks were being bought and sold in that area, and then do they have the castles there too?
There is many of the enslaved Africans were taken through what's called Bunce Island. I don't know what kind of structures remain on Bunce Island, but Bunce Island is where the slave trade came through.
Is it a modern country like Ghana or?
So Sierra Leone does have development. Okay. It has been developed. I think, like most countries, there's a mix of development and still undeveloped or underdeveloped areas. I shouldn't even say underdeveloped, but just traditional areas. I don't know if it's as developed as Accra because I haven't had the chance to go there yet.
Got it.
But included in your materials, I just pulled these out, but included in your materials, there's a brochure that has a map, and I should have gotten it, but I didn't. I messed up. It's over there.
You're good. You're good.
But we have an online community.
Okay.
And so we posted in the online community that you're going to be getting your results. So hopefully they have already started shouting you out.
So all my brothers and sisters from Sierra Leone.
Yes.
We're going to represent. That's what I'm talking about.
Exactly. So you can, and then you can download a guide that has more information about Sierra Leone, but you'll probably get to Google first before you.
This is cool. I mean, this is really cool because I would have never known, because when I took the other two, they told me Togo, Cameroon, Congo, and maybe that's coming from the other side, but I don't think Sierra Leone. Ivory Coast is somewhere. Where's Mali? Is that near?
Mali is up here. Somewhere.
Okay, so I saw Mali, and then I saw Ivory Coast, and Ghana, and Nigeria. So of course that whole region.
Well, when you say a region, that's just it. You don't know what was included in those regions.
That's right.
That's why you came and finally took the right test.
Yeah.
Congratulations on taking the right test.
I took the right test, and you all should take the right test because. And that's one of the reasons why I did AfricanAncestry.com, because now I have something specific that I can go to. And the funny part of it is this, I actually have something specific on this side I can go to as well. So when I'm looking at the European side, this was what came back. So I got to get to Spain and Portugal at some point too. But I have to get to Sierra Leone because this, I was born in Charleston. My grandmother and my grandfather were both from the Low Country of South Carolina. Rice, and then all of my cousins, because whoever my grandmother, her siblings, their children and grandchildren will come from the same line, and then my great grandmother and
all the way back, and it goes back 500 to 2,000 years.
Okay.
So definitively, before South Carolina, your maternal ancestors were in Sierra Leone.
Wow. This is really cool. And anybody watching can go to AfricanAncestry.com to order your kits, because I did both, because I wanted to know. Now, you told me on the front end, well, you're probably going to find some European on your father's side, but if you were to look at him, he'd look like definitely African descent.
Right.
So you wouldn't know. So I was like, well, let's see what else pops up. But that's cool. But on my mother's side, this is good to know because this will help a lot of people on. Because my grandmother had a lot of siblings.
And that's the beauty of this, is that you've taken a test now and you've done it for the entire family. If you guys have a family reunion and you go to the family reunion, who knows how many people are going to be able to share that exact same result. So it's not just about you.
That's right.
It's about the entire lineage that you represent.
Now, where can I find out more information about this rites of passage?
So it's the Poro Society. I'll write it down so that you know. And then, their books and
it'll help understand, or help us to understand a little bit more about that. But then with the Temne people, what type of people were they, or are they?
What do you mean?
As far as like, you said they weren't for being enslaved.
Well, that's my own interpretation because they were on the Amistad.
Gotcha.
And they turned that ship around. They weren't having it.
And that's consistent with how I roll. That's why I was asking, because I'm not one for a bunch of craziness.
Right.
So it's kind of like, okay.
I think it's cool too that you can explore when you're looking at the Temne. You can explore what about the artistic side. Like what do they do in the arts? What forms of arts, if any, are they known for? Because that's where you're coming from.
Yeah, so
I don't know. Maybe that's part of where you got that.
Yeah.
Those skills that you have. And then you're sharing those with young people, which to me is a form of helping young people develop into
with that whole
young women and men.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's why I was just curious about it. This is fascinating. I would have never thought. I was thinking I'm all the way in another country somewhere. And I'm glad for, this journey, because now I know where my next step or my next visit to Africa needs to be. So it'll be Sierra Leone. That is for sure. And I'm going to do all of my homework and research on this now. So again, if you're out there, and some people don't realize you might have very fair skin and you might be thinking, well, I don't have any African ancestry in me. Well, that's not necessarily true. You might have, as a matter of fact, this is the funny part, based on the previous test. So you see my son over there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he's
very handsome young man.
Oh, see, there you go. See, nice smile. Thank you. But you notice his complexion is lighter than mine.
Right.
But in the general, when it all came back, he has more African DNA than I do. So if somebody's just looking, I'm thinking about the person who's out here. It's like, oh, well, I already know I have this and I have that. No, you might want to get checked to find out who and what and where you really come from, because some people are thinking they don't. You know how folks are.
Yeah, and skin color is not a determinant of ancestry. I think it's interesting too, because when we take those tests that, well, I haven't, but when you take the tests that are called admixture tests and look at percentages, it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
It's about how much African ancestry, how much of this or that. And as Black people, our mission at African Ancestry is to transform the way we view ourselves.
That's right.
And the way we view Africa. And one way to do that is start to understand where specifically in Africa you can connect. It doesn't matter how much African ancestry you have. Your son, who looks more like my complexion, is not, when he gets pulled over, he can't say, well, I have 20% European ancestry.
Nope.
It's not going to matter. I'm only 80% African. It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter when he goes to start his business and needs a loan. It's not going to matter. Just how much is nice to know, but where and who you need to know. And so I appreciate that you took that step to get to the who and where.
Who and where.
And now you know part of what you need to know.
That's right. And this really helps to answer a lot of questions. Now I'm going to be studying the Temne people and learning more about them. Now what I want to do is get other relatives to find out those other branches.
Yeah.
Because that part was even more fascinating. That's why it's good for families to do it. Because as families do it, now you can bring the complete picture together and discover even more tribes and more regions and kind of hone in a little bit more and fill in those gaps that have been placed there as a result of the transatlantic slave trade, because there are a lot of gaps there. And so it helped with the identity, all of that stuff.
And share the cost too.
That's right.
Because, had your cousins pitched in, then not that you should have, because, he got you. But I'm just saying, when people start to look at it as a family project, it then becomes even easier to obtain.
Wow. Well, I know I'm not able to look at any comments or anything like that, and I know a lot of people will be watching this later.
We heard the dings. Those are hearts.
Oh, okay.
He had a lot of hearts. Did he get a lot of hearts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so I can't see, but what we'll do is I'll make sure that if you do have questions, we'll comment. Oh, here's a question someone did ask. After someone does the swab, what happens to their DNA?
So our lab destroys all the genetic material. We don't sell, share, or research any personal or genetic information.
Because, there were quite a few people who said, listen, I just want to know, but I'm down, I'm ready to do it, so it's destroyed. Yeah. It's destroyed.
We're not here for that.
Yeah.
We're here to tell you about your ancestry. We're Black owned. All of our scientists are Black scientists. So we're very sensitive to the way our genetic material is handled.
Good.
And
good.
So we've been that way since day one.
Good. That's excellent.
Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a code for your viewers.
Okay.
So if you all put J-A-Y,
that's
that promotion code in, you'll get $25 off your test kit.
There we go. You got that right. Put my name, J, in, and then when you put in that promotional code, $25 off of the, I guess if they order multiple.
If you order any one test, you'll get $25 off. If you order more than one, you'll get $25 off.
There you go. All right. Well, that's cool. So how we looking, man? Eric, you good? All right. So, I want to thank you for doing this. I have to go home. I know I'm going to be up tonight doing research on the Temne people from Sierra Leone. Right. And then I'm going to understand why the rice. Now I know why rice is a part of my life. Because my wife was like, why do you eat rice all the time? Well, that's how it is. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Louis Gossett Jr.
Oh, really?
He's an actor.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure he's Sierra Leone. Okay. I was trying to think of other Sierra Leone people for you.
I'm going to find out.
We'll look them up.
Yeah, and then we'll...
and I have one more present for you.
Oh, cool. Oh, let me find out. See, now, we got it all the way set up now.
Sierra Leone
See, now, that's it. This is perfect.
It might be too big. I don't know.
No, it's cool. It's cool. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Welcome to the African Ancestry family.
I am really excited about this. And so, you have your logo right here.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's right.
All right, everybody. You know what you need to do. Go ahead and order your kits and enter the promo code J-A-Y-N, so you can determine where exactly the specific tribe and the specific area that you come from in Africa. I tell you, it is really, to learn this is really cool. And I was thinking one thing all along, and to discover something completely different. So yeah, so that's the deal. Hey, Eric, you gonna you know how to turn it off on this one. All right, so we're about to sign off right now. Make sure you visit AfricanAncestry.com and get your kits today. All right, talk to you soon.
Bye.
See,
yeah,
you got it. You get it. You good?